Hello everyone, it is the 15th of July 2024, mid to late afternoon, temps in the 90s, humid, my kind of summer weather. I'm working on the cruise control today, the servo. I already removed it from the car. I have George's notes in front of me here to follow the specific steps he wanted me to use to troubleshoot it. Something he also wanted me to do outside of this was to check the tightness of the little screws that hold this cover in place, and it has a gasket. It's supposed to form a vacuum seal. This whole case is supposed to be able to hold vacuum, from what I understand. He also said to make sure these are tight. Turned out these weren't really that tight. I turned them all a significant amount, so who knows, there might have been a vacuum leak going on there that was preventing that accelerate function from working properly. Nevertheless, I'm going to go through the steps here to troubleshoot. He wants me to take this little cover off here, and that leaves an opening where I'm supposed to blow air through for the first step to make sure it flows freely out of these ports here on the bottom. I've got my air compressor to do that with. I've got it set at a very low setting because I don't want to damage any internal seals or whatever, or that would just ruin the unit again. And I don't want to blow through it with my mouth because I don't want to get moisture from my body inside this unit. I want to keep it dry to prevent corrosion, that kind of thing. So I also need to apply power. I've got to make sure it's grounded, and then I got to be able to apply power to this purple wire right here. So that's this male terminal there, so that makes it easier to get power to it. And I'm on this side of the car because that's where the battery is, to make it easy. So I'm going to go get my wiring and get ready to do that first step in the troubleshooting. Alright, so he instructed me to remove this little cap, which I did right here. I didn't realize it was just an open hole, basically, that leads inside the unit. I don't even think there's a screen there. I guess this kind of just acts as kind of a filter to keep any large objects maybe from getting in there or piercing in there or something. So his first instruction was, with no power applied to the unit, to blow some air in it gently and see if it comes out the other side. So that's what I'm going to do here real quick. Alright, so I was able to blow air in, and it came out freely on this port here, not the other one, just this one. I think this is the input and that's the output. And I also pushed air in through this, and it came out freely the other side. So he said that was the first test. So now his second, so that passed. So now I'm supposed to apply power to the violet wire and ground to the case. This should power the cover solenoid, which should block the air from getting in the unit. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to ground the case with this ground wire and then apply power to this purple one. I'm hoping I can hear an audible click too. I don't know. We'll see what happens when I do that. So when I applied power to the violet wire like he said to do, I see no sparking and I hear nothing happening in the unit itself. So I'm going to do a little troubleshooting first, make sure I've got power and I'm well grounded, and I'll go from there. Alright, with my test light I discovered my case was not grounded. Now it is. So now we're going to try this again. Let's see what happens here. Okay, there we go. I can hear it. Okay, it's definitely activating a solenoid. So what I'm supposed to do now with the solenoid active is see if I can blow air through it again. Let's see here. Blow air out. Now briefly apply power and ground. This should power the cover solenoid, which should block the air from getting in the unit. Alright, so I'm going to see if with this powered up, if I can still blow air into the unit. Hold on a second. Okay, so that test passed. When I had power applied to the purple wire and I tried to blow air in there, it did not go in there. So it did seal it off like he said it should. So now the next thing, with the regulator unit not powered, covered both bottom vacuum ports completely. Now blow into the top vent hole. The air should not leak out of the regulator unit. Okay, so that means I got to cover up both of these. I'll just use some caps, vacuum caps, and then see if I can blow air into the unit. Alright, here's where I am in this troubleshooting process. Following George's steps, I discovered that this cover has a leak right here at this seam, right next to where the speedometer cables go. And I tried tightening the screws some more, but there's still a little bit of a leak there. Alright, I spent quite a bit of time on the phone with George. He walked me through various test scenarios here, trying to test everything. Everything works electrically. We can't find anything wrong with the relays, the solenoids, the diodes, they all do what they're supposed to do. The only thing I have found is there's a very slight leak where this cover attaches to the case. So I'm going to put this back together with his gasket, tighten it as best I can, and take it for another test drive just to see if anything's changed. And if not, then I'm going to apply some RTV sealant on the outside without opening it back up. Just seal it, on the outside edge and see if that plugs up the leak. Well, first I'll make sure there's still a leak before I put that on there. But so far that seems to be all we've been able to find is a vacuum leak in the cover so far. So I'm going to reassemble this now and see what we can do. Alright, I'm concluding the video now. I reassembled the unit after testing everything electrically and confirming everything appears to work as it should with George's help remotely. The only thing left to try really was to seal the cover up, because there's a leak right here, an air leak, which means it's a vacuum leak when it's supposed to be sealed. We're hopeful that that will take care of the lack of an acceleration function on this thing. I did take it for a test drive before I brought it back home and took it off and seal it up with a silicone there, and it works as before. The one thing I did notice, when I held in the button to accelerate, it acted like it was actually trying to do something, and it wasn't falling off quickly like it did before. So I think just tightening the screws up here made a difference, but I definitely need to finish sealing it up. So that's why there's silicone. I just put a blob or all around the edge there, the seam. Hopefully that'll seal it up, and that might hopefully be enough to get it working. So it takes 24 hours to cure, so I won't be able to try it out until tomorrow evening, and that's okay. As far as I know, I have tomorrow off, Tuesday, so what I think I might do, start earlier in the morning, is take a crack at pulling this metal out behind these headlights so I can get these to aim properly so I can drive it at night. Right now I really can't because they're so out of whack with the headlight aim. So yeah, this was all about the cruise control, troubleshooting, testing, and I learned a lot. Had to use an ohm meter. I have one, but I really didn't know how to use it, so George had to walk me through basic stuff like that too. So learned some more. So have a good evening.